Hello everybody, and welcome back to part 2 of the Northern Indiana Railfanning Adventure Series. The first train when we got to Porter Junction, Indiana, just west of Chesterton, would be NS-20K, a priority intermodal train that comes out of Chicago, Illinois and terminates in Croxton, New Jersey. A little ways after NS-20K cleared the diamond or the connection, NS-30Q makes its way east towards Elkhart. NS-30Q comes from Chicago, Illinois' Calumet Yard and terminates in Elkhart, Indiana. And today it had some interesting power, with the UP SD70M leading, a filthy Canadian Pacific TiVo, a couple of NS, and another UP SD70M. And this was a long train, about 190 cars long. After finishing up work in Burns Harbor, NS-34J was locked up and ready to go east to Elkhart, Indiana. 34J comes out of Blue Island, Illinois' IHB yard and terminates in Elkhart, Indiana. And today it had a lot of scrap cars and a couple of BNSF engines. Our first Amtrak to arrive at Porter Junction was Amtrak 352, which comes out of Chicago, Illinois and terminates in Pontiac, Michigan. And this train was full of passengers. I don't think there was one seat left open. Next couple of trains to rumble through Porter Junction. The first train would be NS-33G, a daily mixed manifest train out of Elkhart, Indiana, terminating in Cicero, Illinois, owned by BNSF. This train had a quadruple BNSF engines and, again, a lot of scrap cars. Later in the video, you would see an NS Eastbound Intermodal train with the BNSF second. I did not get the symbol for it. Next up was NSB09, a daily turn job out of New Carlisle, Indiana, to East Chicago, Indiana. You can notice here that these would be filled with steel usually, but it will return back with loaded steel later in the video. Our last train at Porter Junction for the day was NS-17B, a daily mixed manifest train out of Elkhart, Indiana, and terminating in Bensenville, Illinois, owned by Canadian Pacific, with the Canadian Pacific GVO leader in an NS-9 second out. Now we have arrived at Riley's warehouse located in the middle of Chesterton, Indiana, where we meet up with some rail fans and go out in the rain. As you can see here, it's very wet out and severe thunderstorms roll through in the evening. Anyways, here is the Eastbound NS Intermodal train with 2 NS up front. Teaming up a storm comes 25N, coming from a stop to wait on the Amtrak heading up the Michigan line. As you can see here, the usual with Union Pacific Power. And the engineer did stop for ice cream at a place in downtown Chesterton. And now it's kind of funny. The next train that comes into view would be NS-17N, a daily Conway, Pennsylvania to Chicago, Illinois clearing yard manifest train. I think this is 17N. This train would have a lot of scrap cars and then some frac sand, and then the rest would be mixed freight. Next up comes Canadian Pacific 230 in a complete downpour with the solo Union Pacific leader. Canadian Pacific 230 comes out of Bensenville, Illinois and terminates in Toronto, Ontario, which runs 3 times a week. Another mixed manifest train rolls through Chesterton, Indiana. This time, it will be a westbound, presumably heading to the Chicago area. I did not get the symbol for this train, but it had UP, Canadian Pacific, and NS Power. Next up will be another manifest train, this time eastbound, which will be NS-18A. which comes out of Chicago, Illinois, Ashland Avenue, owned by Union Pacific, and terminates in Elkhart, Indiana, which had CSX, NS, and Canadian Pacific powered. Next up would be an unknown westbound NS Intermodal train. Oh, what is behind that thing? Next in line would be an NS Eastbound frac sand train, which would be NS60E. NS60E comes out of Calamite Yards in Chicago, Illinois, and terminates in Mingo Junction, Ohio. As dark began to fall on us, NS-22W came through with 3 NS engines on point. NS-22W is an NS intermodal train that comes out of Chicago, Illinois, 63rd Street Yard and terminates in Rutherford, Pennsylvania. As the last light of day shines on us, here comes Amtrak 30, the train that we've been waiting on all evening. Amtrak 30 had nothing special today, but it comes out of Chicago, Illinois, and terminates in Washington, D.C. And is a big deal because we don't get Amtraks back in Cleveland, Ohio. Well, at least not in the daytime. As the nice hotel we were staying in was right by the tracks, it was a great place to film train because they had a balcony on top. So I decided to pull an all-nighter. I made it to 1 o'clock a.m. and then I fell asleep and then set my alarm to 5. Anyways, this was our second best train and was nearly our first because here comes 22K, a daily intermodal train that comes out of Chicago, Illinois and terminates in Mechanicsville, New York. And this train was extra special because it had a UP SD70M and most importantly, a CSX SD70 map. One of only 3 on the CSX system, and it was on NS rails. About 10 minutes later, another eastbound intermodal train came into view. I did not get the symbol for this train, but it was presumably heading to either New Jersey or Pennsylvania out of Chicago. about 30 minutes later, which would be an eastbound manifest train, which would be a late NS16G. NS16G comes out of the clearing yard in Bedford Park, Illinois, and terminates in Conway, Pennsylvania. And it had only one set of trackers towards the end of the train and 2 GEs each way. As you can tell, this was an insane lightning show surrounding us with thunder and lightning. Luckily, none of this did hit until later in the night where it was a flash flood, so we did have to go inside the hotel for a little bit and missed a couple of trains, but it's okay. Sorry this video is late. I took a while editing this one and had to take a little break off from YouTube. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. This was an insane night, and we're just midway through the series. So we're not midway through the series. We're just over midway. So I'll see you next time.